So basically, this video is just about my experience with COVID. And while I don't want to sound pessimistic, for the most part, nothing good has come from it. And it's really ruined a lot of rite of passages that I was supposed to take this year. But, you know, happy to be alive, happy to be healthy for the most part. So that's always something that is, you know, a blessing. But for the most part, when I first heard about COVID, I was a senior in high school, so last year, 2020, early in the year, and we were hearing about like strains of the case, and you know, back when it was just in China. And so that's when things started to take a turn. And so by March, for the most part, that's when corona cases were starting to just pick up in the US. And it was scary. Don't get me wrong, it was definitely scary, especially in the virus outbreak. You know, some people were like, oh, it's just like the flu. And some people were like, this is gonna kill you. And like, it was so many different opinions about the virus. Like, you know, especially with me just being a student in high school, I didn't know what to believe, let alone what to do. And so around March, that's when those cases just kept picking up. They told us, they were like, okay, you're gonna get an extra week off. You know, everyone was so excited. It was just like, oh, I gotta go to school for a week. That's cool. And then a week turned into you're not coming back at all. And so after that, like, we were all confused, especially with me being a senior, not knowing when I was gonna graduate, if they were gonna let us graduate. It was just like very hectic and confusing for the most part because nobody knew how to maneuver through it because we've never had an outbreak like this. You know, like something so serious that people are dying from it left and right, at least not in our lifetime. So, like I said, that was the last day I was at school. I didn't even know it. It definitely affected a lot of people that were supposed to be graduating. It affected schooling, like my schooling as a whole, because that was my last time seeing everybody. But we still had to work. So then they tried to implement like online learning as if everyone was being homeschooled. And I'm not going to say it didn't work, but it was just really hard because, you know, some people are meant to be in front of a teacher. You know, everyone cannot be homeschooled. And then certain students, you know, lack the motivation needed to do it at home. You know, some people, you have to just be in a classroom because, you know, everyone learns different. And so with me finishing up, I thought we were going to graduate in May, and they were just like, you can't come. You can't come back. We don't have a place to put you guys, like, you know, over 300 students graduating. So once that happened, at first they canceled graduation. They canceled everything after March. So we had no prom, no anything, no grad bash, anything like that. It was all canceled. And then they were gonna cancel graduation, but instead they found an alternative for us. So my graduation definitely was not how other people's were the years before me, which, you know, was kind of saddening, but at least I did get to graduate. And so with that, we got to graduate a couple months later. We were supposed to graduate in May. I didn't get to walk across the stage till July 23rd. In the middle of July heat in Florida. So it was definitely, oh, we graduated on a football field, which is why I said in the heat in Florida at the end of July. And so it was very different and hot and sticky, with us having gowns and like the gowns and the caps and masks on, and we all have to be 6 feet apart. It wasn't what I expected, and it wasn't what I was promised, you know, that if you work hard for these 12 whole years, you're gonna just feel so on your graduation day. And I still did feel a sense of accomplishment because, you know, I still got to receive my diploma, but it just wasn't the way everyone else got to do it, because most students, you actually rent out a whole arena, which is usually like downtown in your city, and we couldn't do that. And you usually get 10 tickets to invite, you know, more family members, but this year we only got 2. So, you know, like my dad and my stepmom, they couldn't make it, so that was kind of hard. And then like I said, I graduated July 23rd, turned around August 15th, and I had to go to college. And so that was really hectic within itself. Like the move-in day, it wasn't what everyone had promised me once again. And it was really weird, you know, with the mask mandating, and we had on-site COVID testing. Like literally the gym, like one of the gyms on campus, like you just literally had hundreds of kids just getting nose swabs, rapid testing, waiting to get done. Some people sitting on benches. Oh, you have it, now you gotta go quarantine. It wasn't fun for the most part, because you had to get a negative result within 2 weeks of coming on campus. So I took mine a week ahead, but other students were taking it on campus. So then it was kids who had COVID on campus. We weren't allowed to, you know, have any parties, or for the most part, you know, really be around each other because of the guidelines that were in place, you know, to keep us all safe. But of course, us being teenagers and out of the house for the first time, we were breaking it, and so it was parties, and next thing you know, like the whole campus literally had COVID. My roommate had it. Just like the person next to you, literally 9 times out of 10 had COVID. Like my whole friend group, besides 2 people, if it's 10 of us, then 8 of us, no, 8 of them, because I didn't catch COVID, thank God, but 8 of them literally got diagnosed with COVID. And so it was just, it wasn't what I expected it to be. The number of students definitely went down because of COVID. The way we learned in college was really different. You know, I knew maybe 1 or 2 classes I would have like an online seminar versus being in person, but literally all my classes were on a computer, which didn't work for me because I could have stayed home, you know, especially with out-of-state tuition. It gets really expensive. So like a lot of students this year wasted money for the most part because you sat in a dorm and did nothing. Like I said, you wasted money. I'm not gonna say you wasted time, because that's a, you know, matter of opinion, but I truly feel like I did waste time, and it wasn't what I was promised that I would get all these years, like if I kept working hard, which was really hard on me. But you know, thankfully I stayed healthy, I stayed safe. I can gladly say I did not catch COVID, because I have seen how horribly it has affected a lot of people that I know. But it just, like I said, I won't say COVID is horrible, because I want to be on a more optimistic looking side, but COVID has definitely ruined my outlook on school, and it's ruined like some of the biggest moments that a teenager is supposed to have in their life, you know, that I can't get back. But, you know, with everything going on in the world, you know, I'm still grateful, because it's way bigger things than my prom and grad bash and college and this and that. So, you know, for the most part, I'm just happy that I stayed safe. But I definitely didn't get what everybody else got to get, which makes me feel like a little bad, because when I look back on it, I'll never get to say that I got to do those things. But I can say that I stayed safe in one of the biggest pandemics, so that's always a good outlook. But yeah, for the most part, that's my story on COVID. Hopefully some people can relate, and hopefully the next generation after doesn't have to go through this. So yeah, bye.
Okay. Hi again. Usually when I make these videos, I try and make at least like a token effort to look nice. But, you guys know what I look like, and this is, kind of how I feel at the moment. Today, I guess we're going to talk about, like, sort of best things, worst things, as, you know, the lockdowns went. And it feels awful to have a best thing. I mean, thankfully I don't know anybody who's had COVID, at least I don't think I do. But I don't go on Facebook anymore, so it's possible. But I don't know, I have social anxiety, so the fact that I got to stay at home and not have to go anywhere or do anything or call anyone was kind of amazing. As I previously stated, my mom and I watched every episode of Law & Order that we could find. I think we've got about 10 seasons of various permutations and ate our way through a lot of mini eggs. Then we moved on to peanut butter chocolate ice cream and Hannibal, which we finished a couple weeks ago. And then I got my parents to watch Firefly, which was great. And now we're moving on to Haven. So, you know, the quality time and the time we spent together, especially during the first lockdown when everyone was supposed to be at work, was really fun. And that sort of comes with its own measure of guilt, because you're having fun while people that you love and people that you know and, you know, strangers are going to work or going, you know, about their daily lives when they can't see their families, or they are stressed at work because they have to go into, you know, nursing homes or hospitals or clinics, what have you. We actually had a really bad outbreak in one of our, well, sort of local, it's in the same township, nursing homes. It's called Pinecrest, and a lot of older people died, and the only thing that I could think the whole time was to thank someone, I don't know, God, them, for my grandparents being in relatively good health. I mean, none of them are in such bad health as they had to live in assisted living or anything like that. They all still live in their homes, and, you know, they don't have outside help come in. And so it made me really thankful. Even though I couldn't see them, I at least knew that they were okay. Worst things about the pandemic, aside from the guilt and the loss of life and just, I don't know, news exhaustion? Is that, I think that's what they call it. I don't know. I mean, I'm an actor, and I do a lot of this sort of self-tape stuff at home, and it's, I don't know if it should be hard for me to do when people are in the house, but it is hard for me to do when people are in the house. And even right now, my mom is downstairs at the kitchen table doing, I think, literacy with grade 4s. So we both have cameras pointed in our faces, and then after this we're gonna go eat mac and cheese. But it's just, I don't know, I found it a struggle because I spend a lot of my time by myself. I live here with them, but they go to work, and I am able to do the things that a working actor has to do. And so I, you know, self-tape, and I work out, and I don't know, I read my acting books, and I don't know, I found it difficult to maintain any kind of a structure when they're in the house. I don't really know why. I'm still evaluating it, sort of in my mind, as to why I found that so difficult. Not being able to see my grandparents was huge. I've lived with both sets of my grandparents, like just, you know, weekends or with my parent while we were, you know, figuring stuff out for large chunks of my life, and so they're really important to me. And even if we, you know, see them, I'd go see my grandparents in their apartment building and, like, sort of stand in the doorway with my mask on and just sort of stand on the porch, and mean, that helped because I got to see them and, you know, physically know that they were there, but we're huggy people. And the fact that they, you know, said bye to us and let us go to the car and drive away without multiple hugs was really weird. And even though I have the sort of social anxiety and I didn't mind not having to go anywhere or do anything, we are social creatures, humans, as a general rule. And I was supposed to have been in a show in March, which obviously got postponed and is now postponed indefinitely because of just sort of the nature of the show, that we all have to be in very close proximity, and that's not something any of us are really comfortable with right now. It's called The Tin Woman. If you want to look up the script, it's amazing. And I was really looking forward to it, to the challenge of it. But there were also some one-acts that were supposed to take place, I think, in May, that I was also supposed to be part of. And obviously in May it didn't happen. But I was emailed by one of the directors, I think in September, and they said we're gonna rehearse them and we're gonna put them on. It's gonna be dinner theater with one of our local restaurants. It's actually the brewery. So they're able to expand that much more in terms of the space between the audience and the actors. Our theater is very small. I once had to give someone a death glare from the stage for putting their toes on the stage from the front row. It's, yeah, 41 seats, I think. It's not very big. And so, you know, even sort of every other seating or every two seating, it wouldn't have been enough of a revenue to even turn the lights on, really. So they did it at the brewery, and they asked me to be a part of it. But by that point, my parents had both gone back to work. And my dad as well. My mom, my dad, and my stepdad were all back at work. I was vaguely visiting people, not like without social distancing or masks or anything, but I would go and see my dad because he lives alone. And, you know, it was just a worrying time, and we had a false positive at my mom's school in October, I think. And I just couldn't help but think, you know, they're being safe, and it's not safe for me to join them. Because I could bring them something, or, you know, bring something home and give it to one of my parents, who, my mom and my stepdad both work in schools. And it's just not worth it. And honestly, the bullying that went on with that little girl, who may or may not, probably didn't have COVID. She got a positive test but had no symptoms. None of her family tested positive. And she stayed home for, you know, the requisite 2 weeks and got tested again and it came back negative. So it could have been a false positive. That happens. It's not very common, but it happens. And she hasn't been back to school. Because other parents basically cyberbullied her into staying home. And I don't know, I just didn't think it was worth the risk. And that's probably the worst thing about the pandemic, is that you have to, in your mind, tabulate sort of a calculated risk and figure out, is this something I want to do? Grocery stores, yes. Christmas shopping, did a lot of it online, did a lot of it sort of in one bulk shop. We went to just sort of like 2 or 3 stores and then came home, and that was pretty much it. Normally for Christmas, my 3 best friends and their significant others and kids all come and visit, and there's, 9 of us now with the new baby, and they invade my house, and my parents cook another turkey dinner. Some of them don't get turkey from their own families. and we open presents and play games, and this year that was the calculated risk that we decided not to take. We decided that we would send presents to each other, which we did, and we would open them on video chat, which we did, which was hilarious. And then we got on New Year's Eve and had a drink all together and watched the ball drop on New York Channel 12. And my cat was my New Year's kiss, which sounds incredibly pathetic, but Rosie is nice to me, so that's okay. But yeah, I miss them. And I don't know, for someone even like me who's not like a massive fan of Christmas, I enjoy it when it's happening and I like a lot of the movies, but like it's not a huge deal to me like it is for some people. But even for me, this was kind of a desolate Christmas. So I don't really know how I'm feeling, to be honest. I think I'm just gonna turn this off and let you enjoy my frizzy shower hair some other time. So I hope you're all safe, and talk soon.